Okay, so here are the surefire ways to stop looking like a weirdo and blocking people, and I'm bringing them back. Blocking them, bringing them back. Have you been in that cycle? Well, I think we all have. So let's get to it. Okay, so we've all been there. We're like, okay, this is it. I'm done with this person's shenanigans, and I'm really just ready to be done with it. Blocked. Oh, let me block them on this, that, and the other thing too. And then for whatever reason, they're back in our lives. Whether it's, oh, we have a change of heart once we simmer down, and that's the key. We unblock them and wait for them to reach out, which most of the time they do. And then all of a sudden, we're right back in that same hamster wheel. Round and round we go. I get triggered. They're doing the same things. It's provoking me. I'm going to block them. And so here are the 3 ways to quietly eliminate things from your life for good. Okay, so the first thing you have to recognize in the 3 ways is that your pattern. So first is pattern recognition. That's with anything. If we want to overcome a pattern, we have to stop looking to the other person to stop, and we have to stop. And most of the time there's an emotional connection, a mind, mental, psychic energy connection that keeps us holding on. And then when they're not meeting our expectations, even just the bare minimum, sometimes we still hold on, and that's because of that, emotional mental connection. And so the number one thing you can do when you're in that kind of entrapment is to recognize what this person is showing you in your high and low patterns. Because right now, if we can recognize that people that are triggering us to block them, they are showing us an aspect of ourselves that's triggering us so bad that we just want it to go away. And the outer reaction is block. We just want not that person to stop. If we really, you got to get this self-awareness so that you can see the pattern and you can heal it in yourself without any external thing. So this is how you become self-aware is, okay, I don't want them to go away, which is just a byproduct. You want what they're triggering in you to go away. The highs and lows. The high is, ooh, I love him. He makes me feel so good. Or he's so this, he's so that. There's a high there. And the low is, this mofo can't do the bare minimum. I have to block him. And so you're in a pattern of duality. And if you're in a connection that won't go away, it's because that's what it's meant to teach you. It's meant to get you that self-awareness. And this is the trap, y'all. We think the highs are love. And we think the lows are, I'm done. Not recognizing that they're just part of this duality pattern we're in, and that's the hardest one to break. And so step 1 is to see this. It's key. Without passing this step, there's no real getting over it. Even if you do finally succeed in blocking somebody and blocking them out of your life, you will attract the same thing until you get this. So that's step 1. Okay, so now once you can say, oh yeah, I get exactly what you're saying about step 1. So then step 2 is to find a way to do something different in the highs or the lows to break up the energetic hamster wheel. In the best way that I have dealt with in my own world and helped many others in my coaching is to recognize when the deep block trigger is. And so that's why this video is about, how to quietly eliminate things from your life, because right now you're trying to, in a loud way, blocking, yelling, who knows, but it's pretty intense way, is because it's at that low where you just want this to go away, and you always fall for it too when you're triggered. You're like, oh, this time I'm gonna let it go. And like I said, even though you might for a moment, even that person, that pattern still exists inside you. And so the next person that activates it, that gives you that high, that gets you hooked, will then give you the low until you heal that in yourself. Because in healthy relating, it just feels like peace. And if somebody does something that you don't like, especially the bare minimums, you would just be able to say from a place of peace, hey, yo, can you stop? And from a place of peace, it's like, oh yeah, cool, I didn't even realize I was doing that. You know, this is healthy, healed connections. And what we're talking about is kind of like what I would call maybe a trauma bond, because trauma bonds are highs and lows, and they are stored in our central nervous system, and they are activated, and they usually have started from our childhood in some way we didn't feel, you know, especially people who had bad childhoods, we didn't feel like we were getting what we wanted, and so our soul created this pattern of desire to come, and then we would feel this intense elation that, you know, our mom came back or our dad came back, and then they would leave again. And we would be so triggered into these high and low patterns, so now we're repeating them in our relationships 100% all the time. If you're experiencing this, it's stemming from somewhere else. So try to, you know, the self-awareness from step 1, but now step 2 is to recognize when you're triggered and create a pause and be like, no, I'm not going to block this person. I'm going to wait for the high to come. That's the best part. When you don't do anything in the low and then the high comes back, you're like, wow, I'm overcoming this. And every coaching client, it's like the breakthrough. So try really hard. We're going to get to the quiet elimination in step 3, but step 2 is to stop doing the pattern. Don't block anybody. Just wait for that moment to pass when you want to block, when you're like, oh, let me not do that. Let me chill, let me pause. And then all of a sudden you get to the high part again. And then you're going to be like, whoa, look it, I'm changing the pattern. Okay, so step 3 is the best part because it is about the quiet elimination. And so it really is about, once you get that, you know, okay, I'm not going to block this person. That's where it starts, because remember, the blocking isn't the quietly moving away and staying away, and then it mentally and emotionally goes away. Because the only thing that's attracting you is you want that high of them coming back. Let me say that again. The only reason that you're staying trapped in the mental and emotional energy with this person is because your energetic pattern is waiting for the high of them coming back. Just like the high we get off of a lot of things, food, drugs, alcohol, whatever. And so from the earliest parts of our childhood, if we weren't nurtured and cared for in a, you know, even bare minimum way, which a lot of us weren't. We just grew up in a generation that the mothers were going out and working, and they were doing things that sometimes it wasn't even their fault, but the ones that have real traumatic childhoods, yeah, this is real crucial for you. But for everybody in general, and that is, I don't want to wait for them to come back. So how you do that is you don't block them and then unblock them and wait for them to come back, and then you feel that high again. You just cycle through the highs and lows without doing anything until all of a sudden you're starting to get to that healed version of yourself that doesn't need the highs or the lows. It's peace. And for the people that have had this hamster wheel for a long time, men that feel like peace or women that feel like peace or friendships that feel like peace, they won't feel good to you because you're seeking that. They go away, they come back, I feel validated and loved. They go away, they come back, and that's the way that your I don't want to say your spirit or your soul, but your consciousness kind of attaches to love in a different way than what love really is. So the third way to quietly eliminate is just to keep, and this is why Jesus says the meek shall inherit the earth, because you really want to get to this place where you're walking on water, you're at peace, and you're not doing the high-low anymore of duality. You're in union with yourself. And so that step 3 moment is going to be allowing that to cycle through and just keep stating healthy things once you're really away from the pattern that's being triggered. And that takes a lot of recognition and practice. And then you start saying things like, wow, I don't know what happened, but I thought we were past this. And when you keep calling out a person, what they're doing to you without making them feel ashamed or freaking out or blocking, and you're just doing it from a real pure stating the facts place in a very peaceful way, the people that can't get past the duality of the connection that you are in will gradually start to gravitate away. They will. Because when you keep pointing out to them from a place of peace that they're missing the mark, and you're not yelling at them or shaming them, they don't like that. They don't like, because that's the real wisdom coming in and showing them themselves, and they'll just either squirm away, or if they're a real soulmate, they'll start reflecting the change that you're in. They'll do the same, and they'll start growing with you out of these patterns. And either way, you don't care, because you just want to feel better and healed and at peace. And it really starts with you getting that first step. And so you eliminate them by being healthy, because you're trauma bonded with somebody. Let's just keep it real. You're doing patterns. Maybe we should change the word trauma. You're doing jacked up, stupid ass patterns with somebody. And so once you step outside of it, remember, it takes two to tango. Once you step outside of it, then they're going to be like, wait, what? We're not tangoing anymore? Let me go over here. And see, that's a whole nother topic. But what we tend to do, just to add to this, and what keeps us kind of in that trap too, is that instead of staying in that peaceful place, we get a little fear in us again that we're losing something, and then we lower ourselves back to the pattern. So towards the end, pay attention to that and be like, no, I know there's better coming if they can't meet me here. I don't want to feel this way anymore. You have to really choose yourself. And so then all of a sudden, all the people that couldn't meet you on the bare minimum of not triggering you, because trust me, they're triggering you because they have their own sabotagey patterns or whatever. And so if they can't meet you from this place of pure wisdom and awareness of patterns, then you don't want them anyway. Because this planet's about expansion and getting out of these lower dense emotional traumatic patterns, terrible patterns. And so then the people that can't meet you, they'll just quietly disappear, and you're just quietly telling them, I just don't want to do this with you anymore. There's no fighting, no blacking. So I hope that really helps you, because if you follow these steps, I assure you that you will pull in a person that wants to do what you're doing, because there's many people like that on the planet. And if you're sitting there saying there's only crappy men, there's only crappy women, there's only crappy friendships, there's only crappy this, it's because you're not stating the facts of what you need and allowing the people that can meet you. You're holding on to the ones that won't. And then that's your reality. So I hope this video helps you, and if it does, please share with a friend, and thanks.